Quade's death changed Creed's plans, although only slightly. He withdrew the balance of his funds from the First National Bank of Denver, as he'd intended to do, and he bought a covered wagon and a team of 4 mules to pull it. He paid off Hannah's so-called debt to Billy Morton, and he put her and little Dent up at the Pacific House, where he had chosen to stay this last time in the city. Instead of leaving on Monday, however, he decided to remain in Denver to see that Marshal Quade received a decent burial. Much to Creed's surprise and delight, Ouray also stayed in Denver. When Creed asked him why, the Ute replied that he only wanted to share some more time with him. Creed suspected a deeper reason, but he didn't push for it. Creed paid for Quade's funeral, everything from the coffin to the minister. He spoke to Ouray before the Indian left for the mountains. "I just wanted to thank you one more time, amigo," he said. "Things didn't turn out exactly like I thought they would, but they never do they?" "Sometimes they turn out better," said Ouray. "Yeah, I suppose so." Then something the Ute had said to him the night they took Quade from Sheriff Cozzens came back to him. "Wait a minute. Back in Central City, you said that you knew something that I didn't know. Are you going to tell me that you saw all this happen in your vision?" "No, not all. In the vision, Ouray saw 2 white men lying dead. Ouray thought one was Creed." "And that's why you came with me to Denver? To save my life?" Smiling, Ouray shrugged and said, "Ouray was wrong. It happens." When Creed stopped laughing, the Ute added, "Be careful on the road ahead, mi amigo. Much danger lies there." Creed nodded grimly. They said goodbye and went their separate ways, Ouray back to his beloved mountains, and Creed, with Hannah and little Dent in the bed of the wagon, and Marsh Quade's signed confession in his coat pocket, for the Chickasaw Nation. Now, on the trail south, Creed thought of the future, the long and the short term. He needed to write to Texada and tell her that he was coming home, that he was returning to Texas with Marshal Quade's confession, that at last they might be together again. He needed to write to Louise Thayer in the Chickasaw Nation and tell her that he was coming there, and that he was bringing Hannah and little Dent with him, that he was desirous of leaving them in Louise's care until he could make a home for them in Texas. He would tell Texada to write to him care of the Thayers at Cherokee Village, Chickasaw Nation, and he would ask Louise to accept mail for him. Almost as an afterthought, Creed decided to write to Colonel John Birch, his lawyer in Nashville, and tell him about obtaining Marshal Quade's confession. He would ask Birch for instructions on what he should do with the document and how they should proceed now that he had his testimony. He would tell Birch to mail those instructions to him at the Cherokee Village, Chickasaw Nation. He would post his letters as soon as he arrived in Pueblo. Chapter 1. Although anxious to reach his destination in the Indian Nations, Creed took a full week to make the trip from Denver by covered wagon. He saw no need to put undue stress on the wagon, the mules, and his precious human cargo, his widowed sister-in-law, Hannah Slater, and her infant son, Warren Denton Slater III, Creed's dead brother's son and namesake. Even before arriving in the Pueblo County seat, Creed decided a layover for 2 nights would be beneficial to the animals and his passengers. A blacksmith could check over the wagon for wear and tear, and the mules and his horse could recruit in a good stable, while he, Hannah, and little Dent rested comfortably in a hotel. Creed would also be afforded the time to inquire about possible routes to take from Pueblo to the Indian Nations. El Pueblo was the name that George Simpson and 4 associates gave the trading fort they built on the American side of the Arkansas River in 1842. From the very start, it became a collecting spot for the scum of the Rockies and the Great Plains. Taos whiskey was always plentiful there, and thus so was debauchery, whether it was cheating Indians in a trade, taking sexual advantage of terrorized Mexican and Indian women, or killing a man for his tobacco pouch. In the depraved minds of this human dross infesting the vicinity, nearly everything was theirs for the taking, including another man's life. Although the fort constructed by Simpson passed into history after the 1854 Christmas Eve massacre of its inhabitants by rampaging Utes, the reputation of the little community at the junction of the Fontaine Quibui with the Arkansas River lived on.